I will call to order the meeting of the trustees of trust funds for September 14, 2023. First item on the agenda is minutes of our August 15th meeting. I'll entertain a motion to approve them.
So moved.
Second.
Any corrections, additions, changes? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next, Kathleen, you have the floor for.
Okay, and so the last of my municipal responsibilities are the changes to 5 community scholarships and the 2 Mortimer scholarships. You may remember Bill created 2.
Kathleen, could you pull the mic a little closer so it will be recording?
Bill Mortimer, a former police commander, created 2 scholarships, one in 2006 and another one in 2015. And when he passed away, he very generously gave the residuary of his estate equally to both trusts, and that was just short of $1 million, which substantially changed what is going to be able to be done with the scholarship money. So we have been in talks with the Attorney General's office to allow for multiple scholarships and greater renewable scholarships in greater amounts, which Bill was very committed to helping young people afford college. So I've made those changes in a non-judicial settlement agreement, and I think we have the final version, subject to the final approval of the Charitable Trust Division. So in anticipation that will happen, I'll pass that around to be signed.
So just for the record, the woman over at the AG's office has approved these in form.
Yes, but not this exact, we had a conversation, she wanted legal authority, which I then put into
Okay.
here. So if anything goes awry, I will
You'll
be
come
in
back?
touch with Susan.
I know where to find her. Do you need this one, or is this
Yeah.
a copy?
No, this is the signature copy. And then you may recall we created 5 community scholarships a number of years ago when we consolidated 20 underperforming scholarships, and they were written to make an eligible student one that was a senior that had that was a Portsmouth resident and a graduate of a New Hampshire secondary school. And in the couple of years this has been operating, it was discovered that some Portsmouth residents don't attend high school in the state of New Hampshire. So this is a non-judicial settlement agreement to broaden that language, that a qualifying student would be a Portsmouth resident who is a graduate of an accredited secondary school. Any questions?
These are the same drafts that you
Yes.
sent around this week.
And then lastly, then I'll give you this file. Jack McGee had contacted all of us a number of months ago about a bequest to create a scholarship in the name of Alice and Tom Flynn. And we determined that we would memorialize this by a way of a memo that would be approved by the school board. It's in the amount of $25,000 for someone who's going to, graduating senior from Portsmouth High School who's going to study political science. And this was approved by the school board on the 12th of September. And so I have sent this memo to Cynthia for our scholarship book. You can take this one. And I've sent it to Kelly Barnaby to, then you want this one?
Yeah. For the file, please.
Okay. You can
We can make copies and.
Yeah, if you
Send it
could
to
just send me a
Judy.
copy, that would be great.
What was this
I'll do
one
that when I
all
get
about
back.
again? I'm sorry.
She can have this one, I already sent it.
What was this about?
Oh, great.
Jack McGee.
Yeah.
So Dana, this was like 2 or 3 meetings ago, we had a discussion about whether it was necessary to have a trust agreement because this was a bequest and a bill and a will. And we decided that it wasn't necessary to do a separate agreement, but there should be a summary of the terms that could go to the high school so they would know what kind of students were eligible.
I see. Okay.
It's the Mortimer.
Get this handoff.
So if you could just put a sticky on there that Cynthia's is in the email, copy of the memo.
She has it in the email.
I just sent it this morning.
If I could get a copy of the signed Mortimer ones once they're all signed for the files too, from legal, that
Oh,
would be
yeah, they're
great.
the-
Where's the memo part? Did I miss that? The explanation to this one?
Yeah. I just gave it to Judy.
She gave it to me for the file.
It basically says what I just said, that they left 25,000.
I can make a copy of that and send it out.
If you could, that would be,
Just because I didn't-
that'd be great.
Almost done. And the McHale,
Can you hold on to these?
Absolutely.
I'll talk to outside.
I'll pass
All
this
right,
on to Zach.
this is great, and then you have one more item on your agenda?
What was that one?
You're going to tell us the status of a McHale
Oh,
efforts.
we discussed this one last time, I think, and maybe the time before that, that Marge Hayner, the mother of Carrie McHale, had for years been the steward of that scholarship, attending the scholarship award ceremony every year, and we had a non-judicial settlement agreement to spend out the principal and the interest in 3 years, 10 scholarships each, and because the market did so well during that time, there's about 7,000 left. She thought this year was her last, and just before the award ceremony, her husband passed away very suddenly, and she is just really had communicated to me and to Judy over time. She was really wanted to be finished with the scholarship. I reached out to her with a detailed email. I've left her a phone message, and I haven't heard back from her. So as we discussed last time, the language in the documents would allow for the high school selection committee to take over the responsibility of selecting the student. And Tom suggested that if she doesn't reach out before next spring, that we send one last, or the community, we would send back one last attempt to let her know as a courtesy that that was going to be done.
Tom is who?
This one.
That would be me.
Tom.
All the Toms in my life.
Hopefully her husband isn't giving her advice.
A good Tom?
They're both young, right?
They're both too demanding. So I think that is the one last thing.
Yeah.
And other than, it's been a fun ride with you guys and your predecessors
Well,
over
thank
the
you
years.
for all your service.
You're welcome.
We will see you at Dwyer's.
Maybe
Probably. Speaking
even,
of Peter Torrey, he and his daughter and I think her husband had come to play trivia, had never been before, and they beat out like 15 teams.
Wow, really? That's impressive.
Multi-generational teams.
Yeah.
that's great. Well, thank you
Oh, you're
for all the years of hard work for us.
Yes. We will miss you.
Well, I'm friends with your wife on Facebook, so I.
Okay, we'll stay in touch.
Grandchildren.
So
Good
I'm
luck.
going to go up with Kathleen unless you need me for anything.
You're welcome to stay and just watch us our hard work, but I understand you may have other things to do.
When I get those requests now, I say, no, thanks.
We
Thank-
have just a couple more pieces of business.
All right,
Thank you both.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
All right, just to clarify that McHale situation, so her original trust agreement said that if for any reason she or her husband was unable or unwilling to serve as the selector, so to speak, for the recipient of the scholarship, that it would default to the school department or the principal. And that's what we've been trying to chase down to get her to acknowledge that she's not interested in doing it anymore. And so given that she's not in communication with us, I think we make one final effort, send her a note saying this is what we're going to do, and it's the last years of scholarships will be given out this spring by the selection committee at the high school like they do all the other ones.
Yeah, sad story.
Yeah. Exactly. All right, well, Valerie Rochon will be with us in about 20 minutes, so in the meantime, let's go on to the next item, which is the request, another request for disbursement from the Tommy McCann Fund.
I'd move the request be granted. I think it's exactly the type of thing that was requested in his will.
Second, I think this is great.
Yeah, no, I agree, and
And good for Tom for,
I was going to say, I think he's found two good
yeah.
uses
Yeah.
pretty quickly, so I'm sure that they're exactly what Tommy McCann wanted. All in favor?
All
Aye.
right,
And chair votes aye.
this is inspiring.
I know, he tried out and made varsity. That was
He did make it?
He made
it?
varsity.
Wow.
Yeah. Good for him.
All right.
Oh, yeah, here it says it right here.
Thank you.
And it seems that in the letter, although his living conditions here are not the best,
They're better.
it's much better than they were in Haiti. So, you know, that's a success story for the family as well.
Absolutely. Okay.
I forward,
So,
yeah, we moving on to TD Wealth?
Yes,
Yeah.
yep.
I forwarded you an email that I received about 20 minutes ago from Suzanne, forwarded it to all of you. She does not have copies of the reports available for this meeting due to a compliance issue, she said. So she's working on it. She apologizes. Reports are ready but aren't compliance approved.
What about the monthly, the report we talked about in the minutes, where there's a question of month to date, year to date?
That's what she was
the one.
changing.
Yeah, so Judy reached out to TD after our last meeting. Just connected end of last week or beginning of this week.
Well, I sent
That's
out
for the,
several emails, but yes, finally.
The dashboard
Yeah.
report, and that's what we're waiting for. But the whole point is to
Thanks.
ask her to recreate this so that it gives the monthly figure plus performance, and then the year-to-date figure plus performance.
Yeah.
So we're working on it, so to speak.
Yeah, and these are just my monthly reports that you've seen before, but these are for August. Just down a little bit. There were no withdrawals or anything from the funds this month, not the month of August, so just down slightly.
Yep.
And they are scheduled to come in next month on the 27th. We had changed the date, just
Right.
as a reminder, so.
Make sure I have that.
That's in your calendar, Peter?
Yeah.
Okay. In your calendar as well, Dana?
Yeah, I have
Okay,
it.
good. Any questions of Judy on her reports?
Judy, this one here,
Yep.
why is some in yellow and some in red?
I've highlighted those because those are the months that we had a withdrawal. I want them to stand out that we had taken money out during that time.
Okay, so the first one, in yellow,
Yep, had a withdrawal of 92,000.
okay.
Yeah.
But you didn't, so that could have been a red one, too.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Well, I just didn't know if the yellow had a different connotation than the
No,
red.
it's just
Okay.
a formatting. No different. I'll note it, Peter, and fix it for the next one.
All right, is there anything that we need of TD for that October meeting that we should ask them more sooner than later? Or just rely on them coming in with their usual?
Well, you know, if we're not going to meet till the 27th,
Yeah,
it would be nice to have their report ahead of time.
well, that's what I'm asking. Oh, you mean the
The quarterly
full
report,
quarter.
the
Yeah.
presentation.
Yeah.
All right,
I mean, to get it the morning of the meeting,
Yep.
it doesn't give you a chance to review it beforehand, and there's certainly no reason, since we're meeting that late in the month, that they couldn't have the report printed so we can get it ahead of time.
I will ask. Yep,
Well, just tell them we want it ahead
we
of
want it,
time.
yep.
anything you can think of, Dana? Okay,
I'm just assuming the report will be as of 9:30.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's supposed to be, yep.
okay. Anything else on the financial reports?
No, but I have some checks for you all to sign. Scholarship checks.
These are the ones who started school late?
These are the ones that got the paperwork in late. As many as last time.
Judy, how are things from your end working with the school counselor or the woman in charge of scholarships? What's her name?
Brittany Lind,
Brittany? Yeah.
Yeah.
How's that? Is that going on?
we have a good relationship.
That's
I
good.
like Brittany a
Okay.
lot. She's
Good.
very approachable. She's great at throwing out suggestions, and
Good.
when we have a problem with a student, that the student thinks that they're getting something or there's a question, she's very responsive. So we have a good relationship.
That's good to hear. Bentley. Bentley College.
Who you want to go to is Babson. Did you see what they did?
I did see that. I mean, where did that come from?
What that shows you is, how variable these best schools can be, depending on what you decide to plug in as criteria.
Right.
I apologize. I thought that scholarships were going to take a little bit longer than they did, so.
That's all right. So she'll be here in about 10 minutes. Now that we've finally cleared up all this non-judicial settlement agreement stuff, is there anything we want to be looking at between now and the end of the year? Or you'd like us?
Just a quick question. Do we know who's working for the school department?
I don't think they've been hired yet.
Not been hired.
They're interviewing for 2 positions.
What's the other one?
The one that Trevor currently is, he's moved up, and so they're hiring an entry-level attorney to do what he's doing the last few years. Anything, loose ends that you can think of that we need to?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Tom, just one thing I always think about, right, is annual report to the council. You've done it before. I think it's, just something to think about.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about that a month or so ago. When's the last time that, I don't think we've done that since I've been on the trustees.
You did it once, I think, or twice, no?
No.
Someone did.
I think you talked about it, but I don't know if you ever actually went.
Oh, I know. The time you did it was when we went to get the approval for the community.
Yeah,
That was the last time.
right. And that wasn't a true report of the whole state of affairs, but yeah. You go back and you look at the old town or old city reports back in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and they always had this little 1-paragraph summary by the trustees of this is how much money we have. And
You came across that?
yeah,
Really?
I was looking for something, and you can get all those old city reports online.
Yeah.
I think UNH Library has almost every city and town in the state and every annual report that they issue. And typically, they would have a summary by every department, plus the selectmen or city council summary, and it's fascinating sometimes.
So is there, in our annual report currently, is there anything from the trustees?
Not that we prepared.
Yeah.
It used to have in there
I'm not sure.
the amount of money that was just one line.
Yeah. I'm not sure, so I don't want to speak out of term. I'm not sure.
Well, you haven't been asked to do it, though, right?
No.
Or maybe it's good we don't let them know to try to dip into it.
It was interesting in getting this Portsmouth Bicentennial Committee. Arthur Splain, who I used to work with at the First National Bank, was the trustee then that signed the agreement.
Well, that's one of those, that somebody ought to hope in 2026 that they remember to ask for the money because, it.
Well, both, I think I'm correct, both signers of that agreement had passed away.
I don't know who Barbara Patterson was.
Yeah.
How much money did he put into it? $1,000?
Well, they had 10 people.
No, 100
Oh no,
people
I'm sorry, 100 people, $10.
put in $10. And what's the value of it today?
I gave it to Valerie, but I did not write it down. I'm going to run up and get that real quick.
Oh, you don't.
No, I get your email right here. It says,
Oh, good.
$7,831.91.
So what are we doing with this? Valerie's
Yeah,
going
so-
to make a request or something?
Yeah, Valley has two requests she'd like to make of us. I looked at them and I have some thoughts on them, but we'll wait till she gets here. But she's looking to find additional sources of money for the wrap-up of the 400th. And I think what she's identified this one, and she's identified the Public Arts Trust as potentials. I think each of them are outside of our hands right now, but that's just
Yeah.
my take.
What's this mean? It's not invested with other funds held by trustees? I mean, is this in our 22 million?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a separate trust. It's accounted for within the investments.
But
Yeah.
but it is pooled with our investments.
Correct. Yep.
I don't know. Does that mean we're not holding it? Does that mean we're in violation of this? First part says it can be held together with,
You know,
I'm a little confused.
in the part that's highlighted, did you make the highlighting, or was that done on the original?
Mine's not even highlighted, so I must have
There
said
she is,
something.
woman of the
Maybe
day.
Good morning.
Good morning,
morning.
Valerie.
Maybe I highlighted it. I don't remember.
I'm just wondering whether this issue that Dana raises came up at some point in the past.
Come right up to the table.
I might have highlighted it, Tom. I'm not sure.
Thanks.
Okay.
I can't remember. The copy I have isn't highlighted, so I must have.
Oh, the copy isn't?
Yeah, I have a copy, but it's not highlighted.
Yours is
Oh,
highlighted, right?
well, yeah, there it is. It must have come up in the past.
Morning.
Tom,
How are you, Valerie?
I am great. Thank you. How are you?
No complaints?
A low one?
Whoa.
Yeah, just,
enough. I don't need that.
There we go.
okay. All right. We're pretty informal here, as you can imagine, so I'll give you the floor. We were just talking about a couple of these trusts, but why don't you explain to Peter and Dana what you're hoping to do?
Sure. So we have the last of our signature events coming up for P&H 400, which is the picnic on October 1st. And it's a community picnic. It's free. Everything's free. Hamburgers, hot dogs, veggie burgers, all the accoutrements that go with that, and free ice cream, free pizza, free ice cones. And we do have a sponsor. We do have some sponsors, and we do have a budget for it. But I was looking at some of the funds in the trust, and wondering if any of them would be applicable for us to tap for a few dollars just to help us out. And Judy was good enough to help me with what funds might be useful and not. And so there's one that looks like it could be, but it's the Portsmouth Bicentennial Committee. And I think, I mean, let's be honest. It says something about it for the year 2076, and I don't know if this trustee group would want to allocate a few of those funds. What's in it, I think? What did we say is in it? There's a fair amount in it, right?
Yeah, it's about $7,600,
The Tricentennial Fund.
7831.
Yeah. So, you know,
It's pretty explicit. It says 76, so.
it does. It does. So, and since that it isn't, you know, a huge amount in the trust, I think that trying to argue to fight for, you know, a couple of thousand out of it is probably not worth any of our energy.
Who
So
was your major sponsor for the picnic?
it's the Portsmouth Collective. It's the 4 hotels, AC, Hilton,
Hampton Inn.
Hampton Inn, you know, that group. So we do have, and we have, you know, Flatbread is donating all the pizza.
Who
and
is?
Flatbread.
Oh, great.
So they're bringing their
Unbelievable.
oven, and they're donating all the pizza. We're paying for all the food, the other food, the hamburgers, hot dogs, veggie burgers, and all this other stuff. We're paying for all that. But what we wanted to do was to be able to give out stuff, you know. So we've got some T-shirts we're going to give out. We're trying to look for those launcher things, you know, that you can launch the T-shirts into the crowd. I'm looking for some of those. If you know anybody that owns them or has them, let me know.
I'd check UNH. They use them. Maybe they'd lend you some.
Oh, yeah, the
Just a
winter
thought.
ones.
Yeah.
They use them at the hockey games and the football games.
Right. So good idea. Thanks, Judy.
You're welcome.
So I think more importantly, I'd really like to talk about the Public Art Trust, if we can talk about that.
Sure. So let me, just before we go to the public art, so with the bicentennial, obviously it was the U.S. bicentennial, not the Portsmouth bicentennial, which is the purpose of the creators of this. And because the purpose is very specific, in order to access that money, there would have to be what's called a non-judicial settlement agreement that would have to be approved by the city as well as the trustees and the charitable trust unit of the Attorney General's office.
Yeah.
So it's a process, but probably the biggest issue would be you'd have to get the city council to sign off on entering into that judicial settlement agreement. There's no discretion for us to be able to give this money out without changing the purpose of the trust.
Yeah. I think it was worth a quick ask. I wasn't going to argue. I wasn't going to argue long about it. So.
Okay. Just
Thanks, Tom.
the public arts one, and as well, go ahead. For Peter and Dana's sake, explain what your proposal is and why you think that it fits in.
Sure. The discussion I'd like to have is this, the purpose is all funds authorized, contributed, or received by the City of Portsmouth for public art. So, as you know, we're trying to establish a sculpture garden at the Bohenko Gateway Park. And the first of those is the Endeavor, which, if you haven't seen it, it's strikingly gorgeous. And it's the artist, the work is being done right now to lay the foundation, literally, for the piece in the park. And so we probably need a few more dollars for that, between the cost of the art itself and the work being done. It's about $25,000 higher than what we thought it was going to be. To
25,000 what, Valerie?
$25 higher than what we thought, $25,000 higher than what we thought it was going to be able to create the opportunity in the park for this structure and for other structures. So what we're looking to do is, you know, the park is city property. So what we will do is we will buy the structure, we will have it installed. We do owe the city some money for the preparation, but there's also the long-term maintenance, there's lighting, there's other things that we'd like to do that we don't have the money for. So that's where we're looking at the Art Trust. We know that there's $150,000 that's just come into that trust. We'd like to look at whether or not we can use some of that for the Banco Gateway Park.
I think that's probably a good use, but the request has to go to the city council.
Sure.
And then if they approve it, it comes to us for distribution.
Okay. So does this group feel like this is a path that we could reasonably follow, is the question.
From my perspective, I think Dana and Peter would agree. Again, the Public Art Trust was created to collect sums that were going to be spent on public art. It was done at the time the city adopted the Percent for Art program, where every major city-owned project, 1% up to $150,000 had to be set aside for art that would be created on the site. The best example is the Foundry Garage, the work that was done by Terrence Parker out front, plus the etchings on the side.
Right. Yeah.
And you recall that we only used about, $21,000 short of what was allocated for that, and that money actually, with city council approval, went to the 400th.
Yeah, to the sculpture.
So this would be, so the $150,000 that we just received last month was that 1% for the Pierce Island wastewater treatment plant. It's my understanding that the city is not planning on having any outdoor art on the plant site. And the ordinance, the public art ordinance, says that if monies that are funded for art are not used on that site, they can be used somewhere else following a vote of the city council. That's what Peter's talking about.
Sure.
So from our perspective, go to it, but we can't give you the money unless we get a written statement saying the city council has voted to approve it for this purpose, and here's how the check should be made out. Exact same process you went through with the Foundry money.
But the trust, this trust is just funded with an additional $150,000, so.
Right. And we're certainly not going to be looking for that amount. What we're looking for is, electricity, some of the maintenance, some of that sort of stuff. So, and I honestly don't think it'd be more than $25,000 that we'd be looking for. So we're not looking to drain the trust. We're looking for a little bit of help. So, and what we want to do is set it up so that in future, other sculptures would be easily located there. So trying to get that garden started.
Why not get another sculpture? Get the city council to approve another sculpture?
Well, since you're asking, Sawtelle, is it Carol?
Yeah.
Daughter, is it Carol? Yeah. Carol Sawtelle has a bell from a ship that's like one of the last pieces in her father's collection that she wants to give us. And it's beautiful. It's in the history books. It's a beautiful piece that we could put into another sculpture there. The challenge, Terrence Parker is involved actually in talking about this. The challenge is, how do we put it there safely so that our 2 a.m. friends don't do any damage to it? And, do you put it high enough? It would be great if it were low enough that, like, kids could come in and they could ring it, but then you've got the 2 a.m. friends that would do something to it. So that's the challenge that they're working through right now. What sort of sculpture could you build that would house that, that would make it safe? So, yes.
Put the thinking cap on.
Yes, so we are talking with them and, trying to understand how much that's going to cost, and the insurance on it alone.
Well, so, you can, it seems to me you could ask the city council, first of all, you don't have to spend the money when it's approved by the council. We actually have other sums beyond 150 in the Public Art Trust that are allocated to other projects that just haven't been expended yet. But there is now a art review and selection committee separate from the one that the Poison 400 had.
Park, right?
Yes.
ARC, yeah.
No, not, for
the
public
city.
art.
Public Art Review Committee, Park, PARC?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I would imagine that they may be starting to cook up some ideas themselves for how that money ought to be spent. So I think you probably, it would behoove you to put your request in with the city council more sooner than later. And you may even want to address them in conjunction with what you just suggested with that bell, even though I know the city council voted to sort of give the 400th committee the right to pick for things in the Blanco Gateway. It doesn't hurt to get that other new park committee behind you on something like this.
Yeah, we've been talking to Kate and Beth about it, and they are all for it. So we will formulate something formal for the council with Park.
And I'd go with both requests,
Okay.
finishing up the sculpture, the initial sculpture, and your idea for a second.
Yeah, definitely.
Love it. I will do it.
Good.
Thank you.
And if they say yes, we'll write the check.
Yep.
Awesome.
Where's the picnic?
At Leary
Leary
Field.
Field.
Leary Field and Central Field. Rich Blaylock is going to set up a wiffle ball game. We've just ordered some T-shirts for the kids, and it's just going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. So
I think that's a great way to be all-inclusive.
that was the point. Yes, and it's sort of the wrap-up, the ta-da for the end of the year, right? Pretty close. I mean, we still have a few major events coming up, but this will be the last community-inclusive event that we would do, so.
Put that on the calendar.
October 1st, bring your lawn chairs and your sides, we'll give you everything else.
What time will it start on October 1st?
It's just noon to 3.
Okay.
We have a band, we have Sage Entertainment with the bubbles and the stuff. Bring
Who's
the
your
grandkids.
DJ? Is Cos going to be the DJ?
No, there's no DJ. We just have this band. It's called Wheel of Awesome. Have you ever heard of them? I've never heard of them. But apparently they have this big spinning wheel, and you can come up and spin it, and it'll come up with, jazz, funk, 80s, 70s, classic. And whatever it is that it comes up with, the band will play.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be a riot, so I think we'll have a lot of fun. So thank you very much for taking the time and letting me come in. and
You're welcome.
chat.
Oh, good to see you.
Good to
Good luck.
see you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just remember, you're coming down the home stretch. You only got 3.5 months left.
No, but there's some big stuff. You know about the premiere of the new piece that the PSO is going to perform. Do you know about that?
Yeah.
November 5th. This music hall asked the Portsmouth Symphony Orchestra to create a brand new piece that was about the 400th, and they did. And the PSO and Portsmouth Pro Musica is going to perform this premiere on November 5th at the music hall. So, I mean, that's
Okay.
the
Great.
next really big one. So,
That's super.
yeah. So, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Okay,
Have a great day.
Thank you.
thank you,
Bye-bye.
Valerie.
Do you want this open or closed?
Leave it
Open's
open.
fine.
All right. Seeing nobody else in the audience, we'll dispense with the public discussion, but any new business, any old business, any business at all?
I move we adjourn.
I will second the adjournment motion.
All in favor? Aye, we are adjourned.